Recorded August.
Go ahead. Do it again. Do it again. Sorry. It's been a while since it's been just us. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Recorded August 9th, 2023. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon, Roderick. Good afternoon, Brody. How's everyone doing?
I think we should start with Andrea because I don't know what Brody's doing.
Yeah, Brody's having technical difficulty.
What's up, Andrea? How you doing?
I am cranky. How are you?
Oh,
I am crankier. I'll see you're cranky and cranky you up one.
What is up with being cranky? I've been cranky all week. I will admit.
Just all week?
All week, man. Yeah. Lack of sleep, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know if you.
Yeah, there's so much
Arnold
going
Schwarzenegger
on.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has a new newsletter that he just started recently, and so I get it. It's every morning. And I didn't know this, didn't realize this, but studies have shown that a lack of sleep obviously brings about all kinds of problems. But this one I didn't know about, that if you have a lack of sleep, your body craves sugar for more energy. So that's why you hit the sweets when you're not getting enough Z's.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a newsflash. I think my body has been telling me that for 56 years, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's to me it doesn't work. I'm not a sweets person. When I don't get sleep, I overly desire caffeine.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Sugar. I don't want anything sweet. I don't know if it's because sleep deprivation does something with your insulin levels. And
That's possible too, yeah.
Yeah, when you start messing with your insulin, you got yourself in a bad way. It does a lot more than have sugar cravings. But other than you craving sugar, Rod, how are you doing?
Oh, yeah. Just before we went live, I ate 4 Tootsie Rolls. That's how much I'm craving sugar. I guess that's why I'm crazy. I'm craving sugar, and because I'm just not getting enough sleep. But I'm doing good. Other than that, it's been an interesting week. Kind of slow. My team at Microsoft, there's 4 of us, so it's a small team, right? Everyone except for myself, they're all at Black Hat this week in Vegas, and I'm not too upset about it. I do love Vegas. Before even joining Microsoft, I was literally in Vegas 3 or 4 times a year for events for like 20 years. So it became like almost home to me. So I do kind of miss being there, but I don't think I miss going to Black Hat really. So I don't miss all that craziness this time of year. I'm happy to be home.
I am not a Vegas person, regardless of what is occurring there. Black Hat, I've been. It's a place to be. There are some folks who at Microsoft who were not allowed to go do the budget that paid out of their pocket. They were investing in themselves. One of them we know, and she said, "Yeah, I'm going on my own, taking some of my DTO."
A lot of people did.
And so you you're not officially there on the MSFT dime, so you get to do exactly what you want, right? You don't have to man a booth, you don't have to do this. You get the network, you get the job hunt. If you're there, so there you go.
Yeah.
But no, so it sounds like your week was almost uneventful as mine. I haven't really. I've actually had to relearn a bunch of stuff, learn some new stuff. I'm reprogramming my brain. For the listeners, I guess they have sort of deduced that I am no longer on the security GBB team that covers Microsoft Sentinel as well as the M365 Defender security stack. That doesn't mean I don't touch those. That's not my direct focus now. I am still a GBB. However, and we'll talk about this in detail on a later show. I'm putting something together so I can do what I do, give it justice in the description. But I am a GBB, and I'm covering Microsoft Defender for Experts Hunting,
Hmm.
and Microsoft's Managed XDR service. I'll also represent our incident response on Retainer, but I'm not that's not my primary. That's my secondary. So what does that mean? I'm having to go back and have different conversations. So extending out. Well, we'll talk about it on the show. I said we're going to have another show about it. So,
Yeah.
and I want to get some of the engineering team to come on with me as well as CXC for the product. And I think, it'll be my time as a guest on there with two other individuals that are helping me parlay this product out to our customers. In the house, trying to clean up my rat hole of an office, dust everything off, throwing away a bunch of stuff, chilling, learning, reading, got all my certs and stuff redone and required training, and
Oh, good.
I'm having to redo my education board because some of the things I want to learn are not really relevant. I'm on board back there, and they'll eat my time. Yeah, like I said, there's much more I can talk about what I'm doing, but I want to give it an entire show with some people who've been doing it. So that's it.
I was thinking during my run today, there's like 3 or 4 different phases to a Microsoft fiscal year, right? So the first start of the year, you're right after the reorgs, you're either learning new stuff or learning new stuff for your role or your new role, or learning how your role has changed, and then kind of digging into actual work, right? Probably month and a half later, something like that. Real deep.
Yeah, my new manager wasn't waiting.
Oh, yeah.
I know that they're having breakouts for managers and all this other stuff. He's like, we got to hit the ground running, right? And so we're doing work, anticipating a set of marching orders, but not too far away, so that we have to make a huge pivot if we chose wrong in our actions. Yeah, it's different. I'm on home projects. Finally got that stupid Cisco Meraki to do what I want it to do, the new firewall.
You'll probably be the only person ever to say that. I got that Cisco Meraki to do what I wanted it to do.
It's doing it now, and I will not lie to my listeners. I had threw my hands up, came up, walked back downstairs the next morning. It was working. It was routing traffic.
it was that thing that Andrea had that you installed. You couldn't get out of your.
I blamed Andrea. It was working until she put this thing in my environment, and it just started passing traffic. No idea. I hadn't changed anything. No default routes. I hadn't changed any ACLs. I think AT&T did something on the backside.
Oh, that's possible.
And then it started routing traffic. I quickly downloaded the config to a config file and put it to the side, so I don't ever have to do that again. No more doing that.
Yeah.
Andrew, you looking like today. You all right? How you feeling? What have you broken this week?
Oh, honestly, nothing, because I have been busy, but I've been busy doing not fun stuff. So like lots of, gathering links for someone, or, I'm working on some of the training for the security TSs, so putting decks together and stuff like that, which keeps you busy, but it's just, it's like just sitting at your desk, all day instead of, I just missed talking to customers is fun. It really buoys up your energy, but just sitting there all day, dragging and dropping is not the most fun. So
I'm having to do it too. I'm having to come up with a scoping deck for the team is new, right? Scoping decks, rule of engagement. What else they got me doing? I'm having to do what you do, Andrew. I'm having to go back and redefine a POC as a service thing. I'm like, nothing to do with me. Did I sit on my button again?
No.
Oh, okay.
Brody's sitting on your button. Here he is.
I don't want Brody sitting on my button. How dare you? And
Brody,
is it working?
Yay! Look at Brody.
Oh my God.
Brody is here. We've had like substitute Brodies for the past few episodes. This is awesome.
I liked the Brody last week. He was nice. I liked his comment at the end, like, "Wow, you guys are fast with the questions."
Oh,
that was hilarious.
We gotta figure it out.
He was hilarious. And Henrik, that's it. And Matt Sozman. Good to hear from Matt. Sorry, I couldn't be there.
What was that nickname that Matt gave you, Brody? I forget.
You gave me a nickname?
Not really. We talked about it in Teams.
Oh, that was him mispronouncing my name.
Booty Cassell. Yeah. Booty.
Booty Gazelle.
Booty Cassell. We were going around the room. To our listeners, I know this seems a little bit like we were absolutely shooting from the hip, but today is no guess. We're just coming together, water cooler talk, who's done something cool, whatever else. It's been a minute for all of us together. But Brody, we went around the round table. What has you not able to get to a barbershop?
I have, and I look great. Thanks for asking, Edward. What am I working on? What can I talk about? I'm learning. Oh, I'm getting like reacquainted with on-premise infrastructure and Active Directory on current customer engagement. And let me tell you that GPT-4, having my subscription to GPT-4 has been essential because I can ask it to design me PowerShell scripts and answer other questions about how to deal with old things I used to do all the time as a sysadmin. And it spits out answers immediately, and I love it. It's such a time saver. Like it's so good. The gentleman who's here with me, architect, he's like, "Oh, you got to get this. Like, actually get a subscription and not just like use the free 3.5 or the Bing chat." And it's like, oh, even for like data that's up to date as of September 2021, that's fine if it's on-prem infrastructure, right? Because it's on-prem, hasn't really changed. Well, some of it's changed. I get that I'm probably coming in laggy. I'm sorry about that. I can't help it.
No, that's fine.
My computer's doing some anti-malware scanning.
We can hear you just
after
fine.
a reboot. Good. That's great. So I am, tiering model work, right? Tier 0, Tier 1, Tier 2, and ensuring that your infrastructure and users are segmented accordingly, both in Active Directory and what was Azure Active Directory, now Entra ID, has been a major focal point of what I've been doing lately, kind of auditing privileged accounts, questioning everything, going back to the business and finding out what the real needs are to ensure that there's nothing that's overprivileged. That's been key. That's been a key part of what I've been working on. And so yeah, learning a lot there. I was going to share some stuff to that effect, but if I can not even get my camera and computer to work properly, I dare not open PowerPoint at this time. So I'm going to keep it shut. And then the other thing is zero trust engagement. I think I've talked about it a few times before. Have any of you three ever worked with Azure Stack Hub or Mini Rs before? Azure Mini Rs. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Mm-hmm.
I've never even heard of it.
Yes, but no, I've never worked with it. That's a very specific ask.
Yeah, it is. It's from a very specific kind of customer with very specific requirements to have data available anywhere, any place in the world. And we need to develop zero trust guidelines and principles around these types of platforms and architectures that I have not had the opportunity to work with yet, but it's interesting and I can't wait to get my hands dirty. But it's not typically something that I've worked on in a previous role. So I'm learning a whole bunch and thinking on the fly and trying to keep my head above water. And that's kind of life right now. Life's good.
Well, that's good. You're busy.
You're busy.
Super busy.
You're carrying the load for us right now.
Yeah.
With Azure Stack, what you're talking about, there's a podcast called the Azure Podcast. If you go through that, you'll see a person. They just had him on. I think they've been on before. That is the program manager for Azure Stack and what you're talking about. I was going through some old links and I was like, oh, they still running this podcast. It's actually a good podcast. I've been listening to it for years, but it's not security. It's all Azure and all Azure data and AI. That's what they do. They'll get some security. Like last week, they had a gentleman talking about DDoS. So that was pretty cool. But no, that's a very specific ask. I'm sure, zero trust around Azure Stack.
Yeah. So just envision. I'll get very blurry here. Envision a scenario where you would have Azure Stack hubs in a remote location which would have limited connectivity to the big bad internet to be able to supply your team with resources, machine learning, AI, big data in any situation anywhere in the world. And now how do we secure that to the best of our abilities while also making sure it's highly, highly available? It's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I could probably tell you more offline, Edward. You'll immediately know what I'm talking about. But that's the kind of the scenario. And I don't have one, right? I don't have like an Azure Stack in my garage, right? In my garage. And I don't think I'm going to get one. I don't think I can expense that. Yeah.
I can brag that I get a lot of tools and a lot of stuff. That's not one of them.
Yeah, totally.
You ever seen an Azure Stack? God, what do they call the containers they come in?
I saw an HP version. Yep.
Yeah, I saw a Dell version.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. It looks different. It looks like something that Cisco, Dell, and one other person when they try to do their thing in a box, right? Data center in a box thing. But hey, when you get Sentinel run on it, let me know.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to need Sentinel on it or not. I bet the customer. This is a Sentinel customer. Be interesting if they needed Sentinel on it or not. I never thought about that. And like, what are the rules that it plays with? But it's basically that, Edward. It's data center in a box. That's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And so in these data center in a box scenarios, is it like a similar? Like, do you log into a like for like quote unquote Azure portal? Is it like the same interface?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some subtle differences you're seeing. I've seen it because they had one of the in the Atlanta office. Yeah.
Here's a piece of trivia. When did Azure Stack add support for Microsoft Sentinel?
October of last year.
It's 2019 sometime, I forget, but
no
it's
way.
been a while. Oh yeah.
I'll
have to look it up. I'll have to look it up. Let's see.
I think Rod is yanking our chain here. He's making up stuff.
He asked a question and then he didn't even know the exact answer. He's like, I gotta look it up.
It was November 13th, 2019.
Okay, Rod. That's good.
There you go. And the Security Center support as well. Same time.
That's funny. Okay.
When did Sentinel debut?
Yeah, Rod.
September 2019.
All right.
You know, that question came up a few times on this pod here. You know, would Sentinel be supported on Azure Stack? And we gave some use case scenarios. I've been in 2 of those scenarios, or rigs, because I'm having someone just this MDI thing is beating them up because the sensors can't talk back because they keep getting the bandwidth considerations, right? So we're trying to, you know, they're pulling their updates and everything from, you know, from Azure, and the bandwidth on an OR rig is very limited, and so the domain controllers are not being able to talk out. The sensors are not being able to talk out. So we're trying to play around with something, but I you know, a localized database or something of that syncs up so that the sensors talk to something local, even though it may be out of date, it'll prevent the alert from coming up. But still haven't figured it out. The MDI, Microsoft Defender for Identity, for those who are in the acronyms, they're working on that. It's on the roadmap to figure that out. And you would think something around Azure Stack would be the sensors could talk to the stack and remain healthy, and then Azure Stack, when the appropriate amount of bandwidth was in place, it could then talk up and pull down the differences of Delta. But you're trying to compress the entire operational thing of Azure into, I don't care what size of the box is. It's cloud based, right? You started defeating the purpose, right? But Brody's eating a sandwich.
I just had time for lunch, and my Padre here, who probably didn't know he was walking into a live show.
Show. Come on back. Come on back. I'm sure he has some questions.
No, he's good. He's good. He got me tuna wrap, and he's got veggies and cheese. Like, that's pretty healthy. He's from the U.S. and he comes up and he likes Subway for lunch. So he goes down to the local Subway and he's like, well, I usually get tuna and pickles, right? And pickles and spinach. And he goes, "What is up with you chintzy Canadians?" Because they like put just a little bit of tuna and then like 4 leaves of spinach and like a little bit of pickles. And he comes up and he's like, "What is this? Is this what I'm to expect in Canada?" I'm like,
Well,
"That's-
everything has to be shipped to Canada. So
yeah, yeah. We
I
don't
was
have it in
about I was
Canada.
about to say something else and not be very charitable to Americans. So I'm
I
gonna
was
leave it
gonna,
alone.
yes, I'm
Well,
thinking the same thing. I guess you need
years
triple
ago, we
meat
were in
here.
Montreal. So years ago, we went to Montreal for the holidays. You may remember Edward, my sister, and her husband, and my nephew. We all went to Montreal, and it was like the coldest it had ever been. It was like negative 20 degrees or something. So one time we went to the movie because it was just too cold to be outside. And so when we went to the movie, large sodas, and the large sodas were like so small. We're like, this is the large soda. It was like
Mm-hmm.
they were
was
like our
very
large
different,
sodas from the
certainly, than
80s.
American
Yeah.
sizes, no doubt.
Yeah,
The scale's different out over here.
before I eat Subway, I'll eat me a McMuffin. I'm not eating that. Right?
There's nothing better than an egg McMuffin.
The reason I said it because I know you come in on Andrea likes her McMuffins, and
They're pretty
that's
good.
yeah, but nothing too much. You can tell I'm still working. There's no red cup. I'm having to drink water because I got to get on another call, right?
Yeah. Hey, here's another piece of trivia for you.
Yep.
Oh, we got somebody else.
Yep, Tupperware.
Hey, come on
where's
in.
your Tupperware?
Oh, he's gone. So here's
Oh,
another
he
piece
left
of
already.
trivia for you.
Uh,
When is the last time that we did not have an actual guest on the show?
2 months ago.
No.
No, never since I've been here.
There was once. We had the first time that we were supposed to have Ann Johnson on the show, and she had to cancel because she was sick. She ended up coming on for Cyber Month, right? Women in Cyber Month. But it was, and I'm looking at here, February 6th, 2023. So it's been a while.
That is not demonstrably true, because you're talking about since the 4 of us have been together. When
Oh, it's
Franklin,
true.
when
That's
Franklin
true.
and I was doing it, even when you and Brody came on, we didn't always have a guest. And I think the format to our listeners is going to be, we will not always have a guest. Probably 3/4 of the month we probably will, but it's going to be just like this. I think we will be. I think we should be presenting, in-depth topics, and not ass grabbing and jagging around, and so we'll have some interesting topics. But and this is the type of year, it's the time, especially if you're trying to get a guest from Microsoft. Everybody's going through the same thing we're going through. They got others, they're just busy. I can't do 4, I can't do 5. I even got Jeremy Windmiller to come on. So I'll set the date with that. It's going to be out a little bit, but he did agree to come on. You know who we should have on, Andrea? Just get his cranky self on here, Brian Lesko. Just to get him on. What is that? Oh, okay.
He might.
What it was.
I will say, you know what? I sat in on a customer call today, and we had a presentation about the new Microsoft Secure Edge, which we're calling Microsoft Entra Private Access. So it's our Zscaler sits in that same space. I don't know if any of y'all have been to a presentation or anything about it, but it was, I thought it was super interesting. I really think it's a solution that a lot of customers are going to really take advantage of. So just the idea that, it really shrinks your attack surface, right? You only need to have 443 outbound, no inbound connectivity, right? It's just directly connecting to the apps. So no fear of lateral movement, no port scanning. I was like, why have we not done this before?
Well, you're right. I saw an environment that was absolutely the way you described it. They were using CIA and ZPN, and there was no outward access. Microsoft's one of the few companies that are positioned to do that. You would think companies like Akamai, who have all these points of presence, to be able to secure it. There was one customer, they had no public-facing IP addresses for their environment. Private endpoints, which goes back to that person that was writing about the API exploit, that he was saying that that article you guys he put in about that the export, and they were talking about Microsoft's BSD, whatever else. Well, if you don't expose your APIs straight up, proxy them or gateway them, and then have no public exposed IPs, all private endpoints, it's almost impossible to get in. And then you combine that with Zscaler, so that your client traffic is also encapsulated and routed. And I don't know about the product that Andrew is talking about. I've seen the presentations, or I mean the emails about it, but you would think the other big cloud players would do it. You're just running across your back. Isn't it like express route of a sort, putting your client traffic on express route all the way down? Or am I hallucinating answers?
I mean, I would say it's like a part of it.
It's interesting.
But it's kind of like many things.
Maybe the reason that we took so long to get it, because maybe we thought Zscaler was going to take the check, and they decided, nah, we're good. And we're like, all right, we'll build it ourselves then.
I've had people recently tell me that, like, weren't you going to acquire Zscaler? Your website looked like you were lining up for it. I'm like, well, I'm not in those conversations. I know who is, and that's above my pay grade. But
sometimes it just doesn't work out.
It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, fair.
Absolutely right.
But the new capability, what is it? Where's my notes from that call earlier? Some of the new capabilities that we announced actually feed into one of my major project use cases, the secure service edge aspect. This customer needs real-time encrypted communications and very granular level access to various other parties who may have different security
WhatsApp.
levels.
Tell them to use WhatsApp. There you go. So
yeah, I will. I'll use WhatsApp, maybe some TeamViewer, and some remote desktop. Yeah,
some Telegraph.
Telegraph,
PC.
Telegraph, yeah.
Telegraph, whatever that is.
Telegram might actually be not a bad option.
Pigeon.
Pigeon. I don't know Pigeon, Rod.
Pigeon Carrier. Just
Pigeon Carrier. Understood. Okay.
Pony Express. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So that's good. It's interesting how we fill in the missing little elements on the overall, like, what security solutions are out there and who plays in what sandbox. You slowly, things that are missing from Microsoft's portfolio get filled in either through acquisition or internal development, and I just think it's really cool. So it's making the overall offering like that much more compelling, and it's kind of just slowly gobbling things up. I just think it's classic Microsoft. Yeah.
On a different topic, I actually went back and listened to the show that Matt Sussman, I never re-listened to the show, and he is absolutely correct. Trying to get these security designations as a partner is hard. It's effort involved, and I think he sort of suggested it's going to get harder, right? So remember the days that we all been here long enough, except for Brody, that partners would gather, hoard certified individuals to attach them to the organization to maintain their stuff, right?
Yep.
Even if you quit, they were like, well, can you leave your MCP attached to us? Absolutely not.
And they would hire right around the time they needed to re-up. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So any other good things, topics out there security wise?
I think Andrea was messing around with. Oh, no, it's okay. I think Andrea was messing around with something today, and maybe she could get on a soapbox about it, because I think it's important. That little Microsoft thing with Exchange. Were you having fun with that earlier?
We published a article on Tech Community today, if anyone has been paying attention, and it is about bringing in even more of your Exchange logs into Sentinel. There's a new solution out there. So again, I think to help with some of these latest exploits that we've been seeing out there in the wild. So if you're interested, we'll post the blog entry in the show notes, and it requires you to go to the Content Hub and you deploy a new data connector. Then once you're in the data connector, you have to go create a few data parsers. You have to deploy a PowerShell script, which took me forever to figure out why it wasn't working, but I did finally get it working just right before we started. And then you should have data flowing into your Sentinel from Exchange Online, or they even have it for Exchange on-prem. I was actually worried, Brody, like we were saying earlier, I thought I'm gonna have to build an on-prem Exchange server to try this thing out. But luckily, none of my customers have any more Exchange on-prem servers. So
Yeah, if you go to I'm in the Content Hub right now. You got 7, maybe 13 solutions that sort of secure insights around Exchange. Silk Typhoon, Farsight DNSB. Don't know who Farsight Security is. And I see what you're talking about, Andrew. You're talking about Microsoft's Exchange Security for Exchange Online. Look at
that's the one. Noodle, you are 100% right, though. I would love for on-prem Exchange to die. It's hire somebody to run around and pass sticky notes than it was to build a on-premises Exchange storage stand.
Yeah, there's some people that are die-hard on-prem still today.
Yeah, and
so unfortunately,
yeah,
it's sorry, Edward, go ahead.
Everybody's doppling today. Andrea's
in and out.
Yeah, you just did it again. You're in and out. Something's going on. Yeah, Exchange. You can't badmouth it because people take it personally. They're tied to that Exchange server. Like, dude, get off Exchange on premise. But some people still need it. There are some people still running SMTP relays for certain applications and stuff, right? But yeah, there are two sides to the argument. If some people say if Microsoft still is going to create the product, they need to secure it best they can. Don't tell us to get off of it, but you still make it, right?
That's how we, unfortunately, that's how we secure that product, is to enable folks to move to a more modern, more secure environment. Because that thing, yeah, there's DLLs in old Exchange that are still in this version of Exchange that have existed since the beginning, that for one reason or another just can't be replaced.
One way you can do it, if I could take a wand and make it all right or snap my fingers, produce a very locked down version of Exchange. Don't try to mirror the features to Exchange Online. Make it an email platform, not a collaboration platform. Reduce the functionality of it, and you inherently reduce a lot of the security vulnerabilities, right? Quit trying to make this full-fledged product, which is anti-compelling for people to move over, right? Why would I move? They continue to mirror the features of a sort. If you reduce that feature set to only thing you're doing is sending emails and making calendar invites and all the other goodies that come with Exchange Online, right? You get a secure product.
Yeah, but now you're saying the quiet part out loud. Customers don't like to hear reduced functionality.
I'm reducing your attack surface and vulnerability surface.
Everybody wants public folders back in their lives. Come on.
Dude, yes.
Public folders.
100%.
Bring back Lotus Notes.
Man, I used to manage an on-prem Exchange 2010 environment, and you learn so much, like when the logs directory fills up and all of your email stops. Like just shit like that. It's just, I don't miss it.
Yeah, it's all right. Oh man, how's everybody's week look going forward next week? Everybody, it seems like it's been a gazillion train. Andrea, I don't know how you only cover 2 industries, right? You cover SLG and one more?
And some ISVs, yeah.
That we talked about. I am now covering 3 different verticals/OUs. More than that, absolutely maddening. I have to be in the South call, the Northeast call, the LATAM call. It's just teams are just noisy, and I don't know how people that cover multiple verticals are doing this. It's always something going on. So,
well, and Teams tends these days to be the communication tool at Microsoft. I miss the days when it was just email, because you can control your workflow and manage. It was a little bit more organized, in my opinion. But That's just me.
Well, well, yeah, what is not even worth the bandwidth. I just ignore. I have an important list. The top team that sits up in my teams is the Microsoft Security Insights teams chat and channel. And my boss, and then my group, and everybody else go down to the bottom. I got rules, so I'll see if you guys get stuff from them. Everybody else like,
Oh,
did you see my IM? If you're asking me that I see your IM, either I did not or I'm ignoring you. Right? Which one is it? You get to choose.
Which answer do you want?
I'll give you the answer that you want. Right?
you three are directly below my wife, so that's how much you mean to me.
She's in teams too.
She is, for better or worse. I can send gifts her way, but only safe for work gifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
due to Microsoft policy.
Microsoft policy.
Only due to Microsoft policy.
Only due to yes, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I have a interesting discussion point. Rod,
Sir.
you have created my RodBot, previously known as RodBot. Andrew's
It's actually
name.
Flo from Mel's Diner now, but yeah.
It's Flo now? Okay. So, ignorant question. I wanted to make one. I caught up on a bunch of your newsletters and blog and emails while I was on the drive back from the lake. And I just haven't had the time, right? So,
right.
GPT-4, I've got a subscription for myself. It's great. Sell me. What's the benefits other than just playing around and having fun with technology, which is a valid answer? What are some? Do you get more out of it than the current GPT-4 model? Like, is it on 4.5 or something cool that I'm not aware of, or does it get me faster answers to my on-prem PowerShell questions if I build my own bot through our services?
So just a couple things, and number one, absolutely, it's something to play with. It's like the modern day CB radio, right? Everybody wants to have their little bot, and it's easy to create. I think, from my perspective, everybody's waiting for these copilots, right? I want my M365 copilot. I want my, dare I say, security copilot. It's really easy to create your own. And for a lot of organizations, it's really easy to create one of these things specific to a department. For example, HR, right? Good. There you go. It's just too much. I know. HR doesn't need to see data from finance and vice versa, or C-level and stuff like this. But it would be super nice if they had their data that they could have their own bot. So it's really easy to create something specific to HR. HR's data is being trained by someone in their organization, in their department. That bot is being trained on HR data. So if they want to type in a question, it's going to bring up their data and give them, really good answers for the questions they have, or finance or C-level or whatever, but still tie these things to, and you talked about GPT-4. So none of the things that I do anymore, I started early days out on the public OpenAI version, but very quickly moved to Azure OpenAI version because you can use RBAC, resource groups, all that good kind of stuff to limit who has access. So not only would I limit this bot to HR data, but I would limit this bot to HR department completely. Only certain people would have access to that thing. Anybody else try to log in, it wouldn't allow them to do that. In fact, my RodBot is a public URL. Anybody can go there, but you have to have a login. And Brody, you actually have a login. You have to have a login to be able to get access to it.
Okay? Well, if you look at if you have to be a futurist, technologist, one of these front thinkers, it would stand to reason that if you're going to have that separation of bot intelligence and bot capability and bot access, that if I am working in finance and I'm the bot should not be able to access HR's large language models at all.
Right.
The bot should talk to the other bot and ask the other bot, hey, I have a question. Can you answer it for me? Rather than they give that bot access to the large language model. So now you have these separations of ethical bot walls so that you're not having that direct access to it. I wouldn't want my security bot having direct access to the HR data set, but I would create a a series of security checks and balances so that it's sort of like federation, right? Bot federation, right? I'm not going to federate with every large language model, every other bot. I'm going to talk to a bot so you don't have that impersonation. That's got to be something somebody's creating,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, and
if
it's
you,
very specific too, right? So it's the data, the source.
Mhm.
So my bot is trained on the KQL docs. All of my docs sit in cognitive search for this bot. My bot is absolutely the smartest KQL bot in the world.
because it's
But
the only one.
yeah,
But it is also, let's talk about two things. It's also amazingly expensive.
it can
Not-
be. Cognitive
not to
search
lie,
is
right?
expensive.
Index
The API is not. Yeah.
It's,
Go ahead.
The data you are feeding it is, I mean, that's the good part, Brody, is like with Azure OpenAI, the only data you are accessing is the data you gave it. So it's not going out to the internet to talk to some crazy person, right? It's only going to the data you told to go to. So that's right. I mean, because still some of the KQL queries or the PowerShell stuff, you go out there and you're like, that's doesn't really work. So I asked one to do a search for Mimikatz, and it looks, the table is Mimikatz. There's no table called Mimikatz, right? So, but the Azure OpenAI, you're feeding it the data, but I'm not going to lie, I will say it's expensive in my tenant for sure.
Well, we said it when the shiny new was extremely shiny new, that I said it, that the adoption and the innovation eventually is going to be affected by the affordability. It is going to it is absolutely just going to price some people away from it, right? And not everyone can. It's expensive to run as a company, right? And so Azure's position, right? They have the resources or the access to build out the resources. Short of financial institutions that were running sophisticated machine learning and pseudo AI, they're the only industries, probably maybe pharmaceuticals, they have to run their models, right? But it's expensive. You need a cloud to try to build you would need a high performance computer on premise, right? And you're gonna have to go to a provider that has that compute power. Trying to build out in your own data center, that's negative return on investment.
Yeah. So it's the compute, right? The GPUs, the infrastructure, and the data. Data is always the biggest cost, no matter what. And that's what Andrea is kind of getting at there. It's the cognitive search, that data, those indexes. That's where the expense comes in. The API, back to Azure OpenAI API, pennies. That's it. Right.
Yeah, well, still early on. I haven't played nearly as much as the three of you have in it. I got a sticky note to play around with more. I did pay the $20 for the civilian or non-Microsoft version, right?
That's the one I pay for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
I
is.
tell you, it had saved me hours on having the right stuff for my foundation, BMR Blackman Run stuff, creating flyers, and I ended up paying for it because I wanted to use the graphics capabilities in DALL-E and something else, right? I said, I'll just pay for it. And but it was something you told me to do, Rob, when I first signed up for it via the Microsoft internal using my alias. You were saying something about an API registration I had to do if I wanted access to something.
For
requested.
it was a while ago. For which
I-
one? After the Azure OpenAI, then there's a whole sequence of things.
I'm gonna pin your brain on that because I don't remember where I left off. I'm gonna just start over or something because it's messed up. Hey, Brody, we were talking about GPT internal. Have you used the internal? What do we call it? We call it hold on for a second. Have you used
Oh, that original.
TP chat?
Yeah, TP chat.
No, I haven't.
You can only use it inside the Microsoft environment. Check it out.
Okay.
Andrea has, right?
Yep, absolutely.
It's actually pretty awesome. You can narrow the data set and language models to be to what you're looking for of a
Oh,
sort.
I've seen that, right? And it can search some of our internal repositories.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Noodle say, is it Bard? Yeah. We're reselling Bard. We're calling it
It's Bard with a skin on it. Yeah,
Bard with a
totally.
skin on it, right?
Yeah.
It's it. Well, I'll tell you, this was refreshing just to talk to the three of you because it seemed like we've been disjointed. Everybody's just not been around. You know, I generally used to bug Andrea 3, 4, 5 times a day. She's like, leave me alone. I got work to do. Now everybody's head down. Head
It's
down. I'm
crazy.
actually, you know, the hardest thing I'm having to do now? We got an email to say, oh, let's start writing your connects.
What?
Yeah, man. I'm like, is that right? Okay.
Are your connects already? Well,
I
that's ChatGPT right there.
Oh, hey,
ooh.
speaking of Microsoft employment stuff, my team, only in the US so far, is hiring security consultants and security architects for the security service line. I posted it on my LinkedIn. And if anybody out there listening or watching is interested on joining the coolest team ever, other than this team right here, you should take a look at it. Just take a look at it. Reach out to me if you have any questions.
Joining your team.
Honestly, there's a bunch of, I'm sorry, Edward, I was just gonna say there's a bunch of jobs out there right now. So if anybody's looking, please go take the look at the careers.microsoft.com site.
There's absolutely a plethora of opportunities and stuff out there, right?
Yeah. Oh, and one more shout out, Rod, because I caught up on all his emails, and somebody earlier in LinkedIn was like, "You caught up on all of Rod's posts?" It's like, trust me, it's hard. I basically have to wait till I'm like in a vehicle with no other distractions and no internet and go through like all of the emails. But he does a good job and has the same opening for 3 of his different blogs in the email, so he saves a lot of time. Rod's pretty good at this. But he's I don't know if we ever gave a shout out to aka.ms/mustlearn AI security, Rod.
Oh.
On the show yet? You want to talk about that quick?
So AI security obviously is the thing I've been focused on for the past, oh my goodness, I was gonna say 6 months, but no, it's been almost a year. Holy crap.
Wow.
Year goes by quick. But it's kind of the new hot thing and the thing people aren't really thinking about. So just like I did with Must-Learn KQL, given AI security the must-learn treatment. So started that last week, an intro in chapter 1, chapter 2 this week. But as of Friday of last week, had like 10,000 people reading it already, which that's actually based on what I know about Must-Learn KQL, that's ahead of the game. People are really interested in it because everybody should be asking the question, even if you're not into AI or you're not going to manage AI or you're going to have nothing to do with AI, you still have to secure AI. You still have to secure your people and your data and stuff like that.
What about some AITs, Rod? You were making KQL t-shirts, but I have not seen a single AI t-shirt.
It's coming. It'll be there. I don't know. It's like Must-Learn KQL. It was just kind of a thought, and it kind of took off on its own, and then it became, eventually a book and videos and all kinds of weird stuff. So I don't know. Who knows where this will go?
What was that URL for this news? Yet another thing I have to follow. It's AKA what again?
aka.ms/must-learn AI security.
Could it be any longer?
I know. I was like, can we just like MLAIS or something?
AI security.
Yeah, I got it here.
And speaking, Noodle asked how much my Azure Cognitive Services, my bot, is costing.
Noodle, you cannot afford it. You cannot afford it.
Cognitive Services was $1.22 last month. Storage was $75.89, and the Cognitive Search that creates my index, and I have it run once a day. I'm not really updating it. I could probably do with once a week. It would cut my cost quite a bit. But if you're thinking about from an organization, if HR is updating their stuff constantly, updating their own data sources, then you probably want to run it more often on a schedule. Azure Cognitive Search cost me last month $193.50. That's actually really not that bad, but still.
How does mine cost so much more than yours? My search was $200 last month.
Huh? I don't know.
Huh? That's like $1 million Canadian.
Mine
I
is
can't afford that.
updating.
No, I'm gonna have
Maybe
to
mine's
go
updating
back
too
and look.
often.
I'll go back and look because I have lots of data out
Yeah, your KQL source is much bigger than my one document.
Yeah.
Mr. Trevor Smith said, since you guys haven't done anything cool, I set up a 4-tier PKI over the weekend in a home lab based on Server 2022. Well, Mr. Smith, since you're bragging, you want to just come on the show and talk about it?
Or just visit Edward's house and help him set up his
Yes. Yes.
during the show.
We'll
I
do it
would
live.
say if you were doing it over the weekend, we need to get you some hobbies. That's my first comment on that.
Mhm.
And my second comment is, do we need 4-tiered PKI anymore?
I don't know the answer to all this. All I know is setting up a server rack infrastructure in my house in the winter would be a good idea to keep the heat on, but I don't need that in the summer. I want to cool off.
Or Azure Stack.
Azure Stack will keep your basement dry and pull all the humidity out of there. We'll put 3 of them in Rod's basement to keep it dry. That'll do it. Yeah, I put up a couple of 2022 servers myself and changed out all the domain controllers because they were running like 2008 R2 2012. So I made everything 2022 now. So and it's not a heavy load. I mean, I looked at the task manager for 2 identical servers. One was 2012 R2 and then 2022, and just looked at the performance. Same machines, exact same thing. They don't burn a whole lot of CPU more than the 2016 server or 2008 R2 server or whatever one it is. I got rid of them all and updated them. So that's all I'm doing. I got to go do something with Andrew, like what Andrew's doing. I got to go make some slides and do some presentations and stuff like that. So
Sales guy stuff. Yeah, copy that.
let me tell you something.
Mhm.
You spoke this into being. You did this to me. They turned me into a sales guy. You did this, Brody.
I
Yeah,
did this because I kept what's the word?
I am actually, yeah. I'm gonna start coming and asking you guys for leads. Cold call dialing you. It may give me opportunity to work with, well, at least Rod and Andrew. I don't cover Canada of a sort, but I'm gonna come in and sell into some of your customers.
Because their Subway sandwiches are sparse.
If any of those solutions were available in GCC, Edward, you totally could come sell them, but none of those solutions are available in GCC.
Well, I think the ideal is novel. I think it's necessary. If we're going to make this thing that I'm working on now viable, there's some improvements to be made. So, but for what it does against what is promised in the marketing material or the stat sheet, it absolutely does what it says it's going to do. I think that the menu is light. There you go on what it can do. So, but I got 2 customers. One customer was on the show and gave me some good feedback. So there you go. Give me some really good feedback.
It's nice you have friends.
I don't have any friends. Just kidding. Edward, I just need to invest in the HSM key for the root key. Yeah. We can. You can run.
I don't think we should talk to Microsoft about keys right now.
Yeah, I shouldn't be talking about keys. I was about to say, what do we call it? What is our key vault or HSM solution? We resell Talon. Is that what it is? HSM. So, well, everyone, not that I don't love you, but I got to go do something else. Right. So.
All right.
It's been fun. This seems very relaxed. I needed this for a change,
Yeah.
And
it is good. We didn't have to, I almost didn't shade before the show because I thought it's just you guys. I don't have to look impressive for anyone because we didn't have a guest. But
yeah, we didn't have any guest co-hosts that we had to keep interrupting, cutting them off, and intimidating them, right? So there you go with that too.
And we have the real Booty Castle this week.
Booty Castle.
I'm here. I've been called.
Castle, love it.
Booty. I'm telling you, you could become a rock star or use Booty Castle.
Or at least a pole dancer.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you can do that too. Booty Castle. Hey, excuse me for my ignorance of Canadian geography. How far is Vancouver from Calgary? Or am I associating 2 things? Am I doing a city to a country? Or what?
Oh, you're good. It's about a 12-hour drive.
Who drives 12 hours?
2.5-hour flight.
Edward runs.
Yeah.
Edward does not
maybe
run.
maybe it's to Vancouver. Maybe it's like an hour and a half. Yeah,
Edward
'cause it's an
runs
hour and
into a
45.
phone booth and tears his shirt open and leaps into the air.
Yeah.
You know why you haven't seen me flying around?
Why?
Because there are no more phone booths unless I'm in London. There you are.
It's fair. That's fair. You could always use a washroom stall, but people be wondering what you're doing in there.
It's like the old joke when someone says, "What do you do?" "I hunt and kill aliens." Really? I haven't seen any aliens. Thank you. You're welcome. There you go. You're welcome. I haven't seen any aliens, right? So
That was super funny the first time I heard it.
yeah. It was some meme or something.
No, from you. It's from you.
Well, you have to do that. You have to do that every once in a while. We have, as hard as it is to imagine, we have actually new listeners, so they probably never heard that one.
It's
Oh.
true. Sorry, Edward. Please retell all your jokes every week. We'd love it.
No,
I
I
will say
don't-
my mom used to say that the people your best friends let you tell the same story over and over again and act like they just heard it for the first time.
Mhm.
I got a buddy
Mm.
like that.
I got a co-host like that. I just he's I'm not gonna pick up. Franklin told me to tell everybody hello.
Hi, Franklin. How you
Yeah.
doing, bud?
He's doing well. I had to call and check up on him. One of his dogs died, and you guys don't know Franklin's really big into dogs. Just came in the house, went outside, came back in, laid down, and he said dog passed away. Was only 8 years old.
Mm.
What is that, middle age for a dog?
It's sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, anytime.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Family pet and all that. So
Last
But-
time I heard or saw anything about Frank, he was petting a kangaroo.
yeah, his dad's doing much better.
Good.
His boys are college. Yep, he's in school now. Yeah, and one of them is interning at Micron, killing it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Killing it. That's it. Well, everyone, have a good one. I don't know who's on next week, but we'll have someone on so our listeners don't have to suffer through this chatter. Still fun to me though. 12 hours of ka-ching driving. No, man, I'm getting on a plane. I'm not driving 12 hours. Who does that? Except for Brody.
If you want to fly over and see me, buddy, dinner's on me and drinks.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
You make that much to just throw that out there. Dinner and drinks are on me.
I don't make that much, but you mean that much to me.
Look at his background. What do you think?
I know, right? Look at it. Grand piano over there.
Super real background. Yeah,
He has-
I'm actually going to go practice on my piano right away here.
He had servants coming in and out of the thing, bringing him food, brushing his hair. I was like, wow.
Brushing his hair.
Yeah. So there you go. It must be nice. It must be nice. All right. Well, everybody have a good one. This is it.
All right.
I'm gonna go do
Peace.
something.
Talk to everyone next week.
Yep.
Take care.